All right, I think, let me change the settings here and make sure that we are live.
So if I press like, I mean, if you're going to talk about the vaccine, I want to, but I can share it later, right, in different ways.
Yeah, we're going to use code. We're not going to say that word. We'll just say like V, and we are live. We're live right now.
Okay.
Let's see. My name. Let me change the settings here. Let's use as much code as possible to stay. My name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton-Sehon. I'm a Swiftfire True TV, and I'm excited to have Cyrus here with us. He's got a very huge resume of lots of background in science and AI and black goo. And what I brought him here today to discuss is a little bit about his journey, what he knows, how this is related to where we are now, what we can do, and even with some stuff with China. So Cyrus, thank you for being with us here today. Can you, just for the record, give us, for those who haven't read your book or followed your work, can you give us a little bit of a background of your bio and kind of your journey of how you got here?
Sure. I was born in Iran. We're Muslim, and there was an ousting of the leader, the Shah, and a tyrannical government came over. It was an Islamic government, and we had to leave the country. I experienced a lot of bad things. So then I have a B.S and a Masters in Homeland Security. Went through a doctoral program. I didn't finish because they weren't very nice. And afterwards, I investigated over 1,000 AI companies and big tech companies related to transhumanism, robotics, and the 5G, 6G networks. And I'm the founder of the AI organization. So I did a bunch of things. Initially, about a year and a half ago, I gave a Secret Service brief that stated we have 1 year, maximum 2 years, an invisible weapon is coming from China. It's going to enslave everybody, and it's going to hit President Trump and the people around him to take him out and to help. And then they will take over with big tech and enslave everybody.
But before you go further, I want you guys to share and put this out, tag, let people know that this is happening right now. And I don't know if you just heard what he said. He tried to put this out. He's been putting this out for a while and trying to warn people of where we are right now. He foresaw this, and I have followed him over almost a year. So I know that he's been putting it out there, but go ahead and finish.
And then I published this, AI Trump China, the Weaponization of Robotics 5G. The book cover shows everything happening today, that the world needs to support Trump, and then transhumanism comes in, and then you control with AI surveillance, but people are being mind controlled, and then it connects to Marxism on the 5G grid systems, and everything comes in. But I coded a lot of language in here, and then I put this book into this one because it was really hard for people to understand this. I compressed it. So I've been trying to get people to get this book and read it. Only 4,000 people got it. This book could have saved the world. It can still do a lot of things. So I recommend, I think people are mind controlled not to get books. I'll see 1,000 people hit the link from when I put a tweet out, and 10 people buy the book. So it's $25 on Amazon. It actually warns everything happening today. It is the Great Reset. It warns that an invisible weapon comes, and it's mixing humans and animals, and then a Great Reset, which we call now, but in detail. Even the terms that Carl Schwab uses, I used it in a different way before he even made it up. Called biodigital social programming. Maybe he read my book. I don't know. I doubt it. But so I've been putting all this stuff out there, but I could never get a big enough platform because if you really want the truth, this is it. All 99% of the liberal big Twitter accounts and big news outlets and media wouldn't touch it and would never give me a platform, and they would just not listen. And the 1% want to, their media wouldn't let them. 99.999% of conservatives at the beginning laughed at me and called me crazy. And after 6 months of seeing it, they start using my information and plagiarizing and stealing. And then when I would complain to one of them that you guys are stealing, they all band together and censor me. If I 99% of all big Twitter accounts, everyone you think is good, every single one censored me, call me a Jew behind the scenes, an Iranian shill, working for the FBI, all kinds of slander. So everyone you trust did that. And then they would put it in, a few months later, repackage it, give it to somebody else. So to me, if you believe in God and you fool all your followers and you do this, then God is going to curse the nation. So just because someone has a symbol or they say they were Christ, if you steal, lie, and plagiarize and censor, then you're not. So if you really want the truth, this has happened. I work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week for an entire year, put out information. So both sides did it. So it's like power corrupts, or people who get in power that corrupt. They actually use psychological warfare on their own followers on both sides. They're really bad. So that's the issue. Now, what is the solutions? I always look at prevention. So you put out information first and you try to get a platform. And if you have the skills, you try to prevent so you don't react to it. Once your house is burning down, then what does one to do? It's not too late to salvage it, but the issue really has to do with us human beings. We need to improve ourselves. If I told you what I just said is true, which it is, I DM'd what's his name last night. Is a really famous guy. So he's saying he's being censored right now, and yeah. So
who's being censored?
Sebastian Gorka. Okay, he has 1 million followers, and I DM him. I said, hey, I'll just show it to you right now. Look what that says. And that's what he did to me.
Wow.
So I said, I could have saved the nation, Trump's presidency, but all these big conservative accounts, Q accounts, and even Alex Jones was censoring, and they're stealing my stuff and making money off people. Why didn't you just put me on your show? And then he responds, you're a lunatic too. And then he blocks me. And he has 1 million followers, and he gets donations too. And that's what's his name? I just said Sebastian Gorka, 1 million followers on Twitter. So what I'm trying to say is, why would conservatives lose? If you're righteous, you would never lose. God backs the righteous. So I don't know why I broke on your show, but this is the truth. That's why we need to improve ourselves as a peoples. Nothing, look at Rome. Why did it fall? Why did Persia fall? Why did Greece fall? Why did all Babylon? Why did all these, even China? They all have a history that people became corrupt, and they start fighting each other later. So we face a potential civil war or chaos, and the virus thing. I don't believe in tyranny. I don't believe in lockdowns. What's a bit? I don't. But in my book, I said specifically, virus coming from China, we call it mixing humans and animals becoming the disease. And then later on, I call it the poison at the end of the book. And then it would hit President Trump. So you need to do A, B, and D, and they wanted to use with this, and it would take out the conservatives in a certain way and weaken the conservative party. And then the Chinese Communist Party would use the liberals against the U.S. to take over the U.S. So how is this done? So you have Huawei. Huawei is their big company. They work on 5G and 6G grid systems. What they do is put up all these towers in Africa, in Middle East, and in Europe. And then if it wasn't for Trump, it would have been the U.S. And then they'll put it up all over the world. Then they'll mobilize drones with it for surveillance.
Wow.
And then they'll bring their robots in. And with McVeigh Face Plus Plus with facial recognition, and then they'll bring cybernetically enhanced soldiers and bioengineered entities. And that's all in the book, but also it explains in detail. I explain how mind control is done by the social media platforms, but not on purpose. They don't do it on purpose. It's just the dynamic of it, because human beings use psychological warfare on their own people. So like I couldn't get big accounts to retweet me because the big Twitter accounts would capitalize on the conservative movements or QAnon movements. Even when I said, this will save President Trump, would you retweet this, please? They wouldn't. Every one of them, all the big ones, 99.9% of them. Even when they saw I got every stage right, and then they put out some tweets, be careful who you follow and be careful of false prophets. I never said I was a prophet. I use a machine with AI algorithms, and I'm really good at security and knowing the Chinese and big tech. So it's if it falls, it's not because of the liberals. It's because of the conservative corruptions. This is the truth. This is really the truth. If you watch me say this, I've said it in a few episodes, and every time I say it, people get upset. But it's really the truth. Just because someone has a symbol or they say they're with Lord or a conservative, it doesn't mean they don't cheat and steal and lie to you. If someone could break your heart in a marriage or as your friendship, why wouldn't they do that when in a big platform? So that's the thing. So that's the issue. It's a judgment on the people of this country and the world's people. So my message is really, no matter how bad this tech is or that tech is, this is going to come in. If the human race doesn't upgrade its ethical and moral values,
yes,
and I see all this hatred on liberals against conservatives and conservatives against liberals, and I've tried to stop that myself because I was almost going to say, look, they're all stealing from me, and I did a tweet yesterday, a little bit of it. So, but the number one issue was, why didn't my stuff get amplified? You saw some lady got 2.5 million views. She didn't know anything about the stuff, and it was exactly what I said. But they saw my stuff for an entire year, from my lawsuit, my books, my tweets, articles, all my interviews. Got repackaged, and then they built her up, and another one as well. So if you believe in the God or creator, when you do this, then you get that everyone gets cursed. And everyone keeps on saying, why do you complain about stealing? It's sharing information. No, this is not sharing information. This is socialism. If I'm working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I have the skill to do it, and I know how to talk to the liberals, if you steal first, you're stealing. It's the first 10 commandments in the Old Testament, right? Yeah. Second, you're slandering and gossiping. So it's like, and then they call me a Jew and Iranian show behind the scenes. So I've had an issue with this for over a year and a half, and the nation gets cursed for it. And the liberals, they're really, really concentrated with this stuff, racial things. Everyone talks about race. You know what? There's bigger issues than racial issues.
Exactly.
I'm trying to explain to them, look, if you have a disease come in and then China takes over the world, you think they're going to care about the racial tensions? The Chinese are more racist than anyone else on the planet. They really are. So I don't really care about race. I really don't. If you call me whatever you want to call me, it doesn't hurt me. It shouldn't really be a topic at the moment because the world's in danger. So you have a question. I'm venting because I'm pissed. I lost 9,000 followers on Twitter. Most of them got axed by Twitter. But everything that's happening thus far, I'm warned about. So I'm not sure why I brought it on your show, but and then the nanotechnology, it's in the book as well. I could have in there, but basically this stuff will make you transhumanism. There'll be first one, then there'll be a second stage, then a third stage, and you're not going to be able to cure this virus because here's the thing: if you have a virus that comes from an animal, and then also a human, and then something else, and it was a bioweapon. In order for you to solve it, you'd have to have particles, DNA particles from an animal, and then also that specific type of human, and then whatever bioweapon you're using, inject to enter the person. But then if you do that, you risk first hurting the person if you don't have the right components. But if it doesn't hurt the person, because it's a replicating, mutating virus, it's going to keep on doing it. And in order for you to solve that, you have to put nanotechnology in it. Because nanotechnology, what it does is mask the issue before it gets to the next layer in your body. So that nanotechnology will go and solve it and replicate it. But the nanotechnology is not made. You're made in the image of the creator. Your body is the different substance. So when you put nanotechnology in you, that means your body has to be upgraded to something that's a cyborg. Because once it fixes that mutations, then you'll have to get upgrades because the virus will keep on mutating. And then you'll get another upgrade. And then they'll say, well, we have to mix through artificial intelligence. That's the issue. And the other issue is the liberals get so scared of this virus, and the conservatives think it's nothing. So when you have nothing and everything fighting together, it becomes something that's messed up. So it's like, yeah, it's a real virus. For some people, it's super deadly. For some people, it's like a flu. It's nothing. And some people, they're immune to it. It's a combination of all three things. And yes, maybe there should be some social distancing, but you can't force people to, in their house or then bring in all these machines. So you can have a balance of the two. In the past, when there was plagues, they didn't freaking force everybody in a certain way. Even if they did, they learned from it, and that's where our Constitution comes from. Our Constitution says it comes from God. The liberals don't believe that, or there's some conservatives. Then you go to the second layer. Our Constitution guarantees freedom from control from government. And why was it created? Because our founding fathers learned, not just from the European, all these issues they had, from going back to the Greeks and stemming from Cyrus A from Persians because of his rule of Babylon. So Xenophon, which is a document from Cyrus the Great, was in Benjamin Franklin's pocket every single day. So
wow.
Yes. So it's called Cyropedia. So our Constitution is not 200 years old. It's 2,500 years of rooted that came to this today. So if you have big tech companies or corporations and governments together, take that out. That means you're destroying 2,500 years of history. And the reason why they do this because they see this issue. Conservatives steal, like what happened to me, and then because they're not capitalists. The capitalist doesn't steal, communist steals and plagiarizes and censors. So they see that, and then they want to create a communist movement. And when to do it, never works because you don't have enough portions. You can't force people. You can't give this person, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, and that person not going to be. That becomes ultra communism. It becomes dictatorship. So what is the issue? It's the human race is the issue.
Yeah.
Capitalism is the best thing one can do if people are moral and ethical. And why these liberals hate the conservatives? Because all the ones in power, most of them, always abuse capitalism. And then they create all the stuff they want to, and then take all the wealth and they want to divvy it up to create a utopia. And they have a good notion, but it never works out. Then it becomes tyrannical. You have Karl Marx, then you have what's his name, Che Guevara, Mao Zedong, Trotsky, Lenin. They become hateful, and they start killing everybody afterwards. So you see, so it just can't be that it's just the demons on the left and the conservatives. Yeah. It's a combination of the two that creates like a dynamic and then becomes a civil war. So in this country, we actually risk that because of what happened with the election. They should have had them show the evidence, but they wouldn't allow any evidence because they were afraid. They were afraid that people on the left would go riot and come after them. You see? So once you do that, then they hit, and it becomes to this issue. Then a few people storm the Capitol, and that's the start of it, right? And then when you censor everything, the president of the United States, then you have famines, you have all kind of issues. All these patriots that have the Constitution in their head and they have the military background, they're not going to take it. And the machines haven't come in yet, right? Our military has the machines, right? They do. And here's the thing: what if Joe Biden comes in? Do you think he would not use the military on the American people?
Oh, yeah.
I would say 50% he would. President Trump didn't. I would say 50% he would. So the Patriots, I'm not sure if they're going to go do things or not, but this is not a good situation for a country. I'm just spurring out negative things, but it's not. It's not.
Well, there's been a lot of speculation. Well, first of all, thank you so much for sharing everything that you just shared. That is a lot of information. And I do encourage every single one of you right now, go buy both of those books.
No. There's this one. This one's already inside of it. AI Trump. Buy this one. And because it's also a track record of showing which companies, and then there was a bioweapon, because it's really a bioweapon. They were making something. So it just can't be that whatever it is, it's a track record in here, right? So go ahead.
No, and I've watched you since the beginning of last year because of the Cyrus situation. I had actually was given a dream and over a decade ago about Trump being a Cyrus, and I didn't even know what that meant. I had to Google that, and I was told. I've had many dreams over the years that have come true, and I know you're very spiritual and very intuitive and have kind of similar things. But I had to look up what is Cyrus, and I looked and I found something in scripture that was Cyrus 45, which goes into this guy who did amazing things and he got everyone together. And so I didn't know anything about Trump then, to be honest. I knew that he did a TV show, and he'd say you're fired and stuff like that, so it was just over my head. But also I felt in all of my cells the seriousness of the message that was brought. And, and then it ends up, I had several dreams since then. And one leading up to whenever he went and actually declared that he was going to be in office. And that one, he specifically came to the end of my bed and he put out his hand and he brought me into this room and he let go of my hand and he put his hands up and he said, "Help me make America great again." And he just kept saying that like he was talking to, I guess, God up there. And I was just standing there watching this huge man say this with such passion. And I was actually kind of confused and dumbfounded and probably sat there with my mouth open going, no one would believe this. Like just thinking, and he was so passionate. And I was thinking, there's no way anyone would actually believe that he is so serious about this. And then it was announced just, I think, a week or two after that he was running and that was his, help me make America, his mantra or whatever. And, I was just as shocked as anyone, but I had luckily blogged all that and, it was out there. And I know, you've been very predictive and, said this is going to happen. And it's boom, 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 whether it's, just knowing because of your background in science and data versus, an intuitive idea of what's happening. But when I saw your name, Cyrus, I was like, oh, that's just another level, because I was like, Trump needs to meet with Cyrus. He's a Cyrus. You're a Cyrus. This information has to come together. And I've been trying to get an interview with you for several months, but you're a very busy man. So I'm really glad that you're taking time, and however we can, I know you've tried to get this information to him and he probably has some idea of some of this and how this can go either way. Off camera, when we were talking, you were saying how the division, whether it's gender or color or faith or all the different things, how it weakens, in order for the part of China to come in. Can you explain a little bit?
So they see the liberals have a history of hating white people and Christians particularly. And these liberals are white or they're black or they're Latino, right? They see that. So what they do is through social media and also through conversation, they'll say, yeah, these Christians and these white people are bad and they're racist. So, and they'll amplify it. And maybe some of them are racist and some of them are not, but it's a free country. You can be racist if you want. Really, here's my outlook. If you don't like somebody based on their color, by the way they look, by the way they speak, whatever, that's your business. It's just, how can someone make you feel something you don't? It's like a car. You see a car, it's red or blue, whatever you like. But if you want to hurt somebody because of their race or whatever, that's different, right? But so they see that, and then they see that this country had a gender issue back in the 30s and 20s and 40s, and then maybe some husbands treat their wives bad. And what Hollywood did was take that and make a bunch of movies out of it. So let's say if 10% of the husbands would beat their wives, that would make all husbands wife beaters. So the liberals would go to the extreme of just focusing on gender, race, and other issues, right? Then the conservatives stick with their faith. They want to have religion, they want to have constitution, and so on. So when the Chinese government sees this, they sent on Twitter and on other social media hundreds of thousands of accounts. Whether it can also be Q accounts as well. They use different ways and with articles they put out to social engineer and alter the perceptions of the masses to get both of them fighting each other. Once they fight each other behind the scenes, their government's using their students and their corporations and their businessmen to buy assets. So they'll buy 30% of this port, then they'll get the whole port. Of this building, then a movie studio, then they'll buy a production company, then
they're buying farms, they're buying Jamaica, they're buying islands. Yeah, go ahead.
Everything, and then they'll because the Chinese are actually so racist, but they only like white people. The women like white men. Okay, they always like someone that's white. I mean, they'll actually like wear umbrellas to make sure they don't stay out of the sun. Or the Koreans, the Japanese will actually go. Japanese not really racist too much, but the Chinese are super racist. Trust me on that. I have 1,400 people that are Chinese in my phone number that I have my phone, and I've had a lot of experience with them. I live in China as well, so they're super racist to anyone who is actually not white. Who is the females generally? The males are half-half. So, but what they do is use the racial on both sides. So it's like a strategy, almost Sun Tzu Art of War, and it's automatic for them. So then after you buy all the assets and you get into big tech companies, then they put protocols like, oh, you know what? That's a racist thing. So they don't enforce that, but in their own country, they're putting people in camps and killing them for the organs. So Christians, the Falun Dafa practitioners, Tibetans, the Uyghurs, but the conservative people, the liberals don't care because they're on this side of gender, race, and sexual orientation, and they hate people of faith. And so it's like, so when they put them in camps, they're just like, I don't care. That's how they are. So what the Chinese will do is say, yeah, those guys are racist. They'll get in business with them, and later on, their long-term plan is to do what they're doing in China. Because in China, they'll use their corporations, and the guy will become a billionaire. After a while, in his corporation, they'll have three corporate owners. One of them will be a military guy that's loyal to the state. You see, and after he opens his mouth a little bit, the CEO gets taken out, and he's disappeared. And they took over the company. So once they took over the West in 20 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, they'll do the same thing because that's the Communist Party of China. It's the CCP. That's how they do it. But they fool the liberal people because the liberals are naive. Once you touch them by, so how did Obama touch the liberals so much, and Trump couldn't? Because Trump's a tough guy. He's not going to go hug people like Obama does. He's not going to go. Maybe in person he will, but on public he's a tough guy, right? But Obama is like, oh, empathic and sits there. Oh, everybody goes to BB games, and so it makes the black community feel good, makes the Latinos feel good. Talks about race and gender issue and all this kind of stuff, which they have these issues. Once he touches them emotionally, they get they love him. So whatever he does is even evil. They won't say anything. It's kind of like a mother has a son, and they see a son beating up somebody or they rape somebody, but then they'll protect them because it's their son. It's like a motherly protection. So what they do is emotionally connect with our big tech CEOs and our Western companies. First, they point at the conservatives, and they capitalize on the hate back and forth. Then they control our big tech people. And then if one of them marries, like let's say Mark Zuckerberg, if one of them marries and they have family back in China, alters his brain chemistry. Mark Zuckerberg, other people, their brain chemistry be altered. Then they can control him or some other people through family ties. It's just like Game of Thrones, that show. It's simply like that, and everybody's going after each other. But the big evil guy is what was the evil horde that was going to come take out all the human race? The White Walkers. Okay, yeah. So the evil is the CCP. That's why I put in this book, the Chinese Communist Party and Big Tech threatened all the world's citizens with MBT, microbiota terrorism, which means invisible poison that can be delivered to people by using machines or bioweapons, and then the whole world be enslaved. And it shows the enslaved process. No more procreation. You don't get, and then you become cyborgs. Everything's in here in stages. So some of it was because, yes, I have a lot of visions. And the other ones, yes, I have a Homeland Security background and I investigate 1,000 companies. I didn't sit at a computer desk. I actually went to places. So none of the stuff that I got from comes from reading websites. So I never even read the Charles Schwab and the World Economic Forum, but I got what they had and more in detail that they didn't even know about themselves by looking at the technology and the geopolitics instead of looking at what they wrote online. Mm-hmm. That's because it's more accurate. Because what they have on online is not even 1%. That's what people are get. Oh, the Great Reset. They don't even know what it is. It's so deep, and it connects to a military-industrial complex. So that's another level because they're people too, right? They have to have their jobs, the military rank, they get control, and there's contracts. So there's so many layers of it, and it's all like a control mechanism, a dynamic control mechanism that nobody's really in control. It's like a moving mechanism. Everyone says, "Oh, it's the liberals. Oh, it's the conservatives. Or it's him." The whole picture is like moving by itself. It's almost like a destiny and free will put together into one thing, and there's the evil force that's moving the whole human race into a place that's not that good. And in order to overcome that, like I said, we have to all return to virtue, return to ethics, to goodness. And that's really, really, really hard to do.
Yeah, well, how much of, I mean, I've studied the Philo Code and how they've reclassified us with dinosaurs and extinct birds, and they're trying to barcode the DNA in us, and eyeball.org and all these organizations that have been working to or moving towards this angle where we can be patented because of the AI, because you can't be patented as an organic soul, only if there's AI involved. And then of course you're slaves, just like what you're saying is, they, and the software that they use for both the NanoTech, Black Goo, all of it, they can actually set it up, I understand, according to, faith, gender, color, location, so they could just like hit a button, and then all of one faith has an issue, or all of one gender has an issue, or all of this person and these people group. But this is this AI nano stuff. It's in the food, it's in chemtrails, it's in liquid. They're trying to put it even more. They're trying to add it anywhere they can. Of course, they want to put it in the V thing that's coming out, and even in the tests. But what percentage of people are already affected? And also, do you think that any of these politicians, I mean, there's been talk about clones.
Yes.
Are any of these politicians actually, in your experience, are they clones? Are they real people? Are they just being software?
You want the real truth, because I don't think people can handle the truth.
Tell me.
What is your base? Mostly Christian base, right?
No, it's everybody. All kinds of people.
The average person uses 4% of their brain power.
Correct.
At a given time.
Yep.
So that includes everyone around President Trump and on the Pentagon, around the CIA. If there is intelligent entities that are affecting the human race that use 80%. Just one of them alone can manipulate all 7 people on the planet without them realizing it.
Wow.
Just one. So in this book, I code so much language. It's a 10,000 page book. Some sentences are like thousands of meanings. But at the beginning, it's really simple. Here's this company. And then before I get to the book, I talk about aliens and prehistory, right? So within the Book of Enoch and the Zoroastrian books, and then within the Zhuanfao and the Found Alpha book, within the Taoist teachings, within the Hopi Indians teachings, every place that never talked to each other, going back thousands of years, they talk about demons or something close to what we say aliens. Mm-hmm. And in their books, even the Hafez, Book of Hafez and Rumi, which is a Persian book, I can see the inner meanings. He talks about the pineal gland. He talks about UFOs as well and different things. So the universe is very big. So what the Christians are today, and Judeo-Christians, which is the Muslims, the Christians, and Jewish people, the Orthodox people, what they have is from the books that are Orthodox. There's inner meanings inside them, but they don't get those inner meanings.
Right.
On the surface, what the Vatican let out is what they permitted to come out. The other stuff wasn't let out. So you don't know what Jesus was teaching, when he was out that day, and what disciples got. If there was an exercise involved, if there was other stuff. You only know that they got tortured and butchered and put in camps, and lions ate them, and then 300 years later, like, okay, now we'll create this religion.
Right.
So even his birth, Christmas, that's a Persian holiday going back in that day because of Mithra. So Christ was born on a different day. So we call him Baba Noel. That celebration goes back 500 years prior to Christ. And same with, so what the Romans did, they wanted to control the populace, and they couldn't control the Christians because they had so much faith and they endured so much. So how did they do it? They had to make Constantine to control people. They had to allow them to have their faith, but some of the things they didn't allow within their faith. They took it out. So the concept of having UFOs, but also having a spiritual power. So you shouldn't have spiritual power because that's just witchcraft. So the thing, which is considered to have bad power, but then angels or people with good power could have a spiritual energy you can't see, electric field, that you can fight that in a spiritual world, right? But scientists don't believe in these things. I can actually talk in a science way, and I
not all scientists.
Yeah. So it's considered qi in Chinese, or qi in Japanese, or a prana in Indian, in Persian, magi, which the word magic comes from Persian. The two magis comes from the Persians. So when I went to China, my Lao Gong opened up, which is I could send energy out of my palm. I can move somebody from 3 meters away. I can move objects. Actually, I could do a lot of things I don't say. But the point is, these are innate human things because in all these books, they say we are made in the image of the Creator, made in the image of God. Thus, through what these scientists want to do is merge with AI to tap in these powers because they don't know how to do it themselves through self-practice. So now we go back to the UFOs. You have these books that talk about it. Then you have
the chariots of fire. If you look at the actual meaning behind it, it's Merkaba, which is the space, our biofield, which we can transport, we can biolocate, we can heal. We have the technology in our DNA already. But go ahead.
I call that in the book biodigital fields. It's in the book.
What do you call it?
Biodigital fields. I recommend you get this book, Biodigital Fields.
I will get this book. Yeah.
So, because everyone has an energy field. When I went to Trump's White House area, I could feel Trump's energy field. It was very, very big, and not all of it was his. Something else providing it to him. Okay.
And it's activating, like to even be in the realm of any property that he has or anything, you can actually feel it, and it can activate your own field. I was just talking about this with somebody. But go ahead. Sorry, I'm excited.
Um, I could talk for hours about the energy fields because I have quite a bit of experience. So, but the average doctor is scientist. Again, they use 4% of their brain power and they can't feel their body. They only believe what they read or what they see from a smartphone or computer. Now, going back to the alien issue. So you have the books, then you have the relics, which shows mixing humans and animals, aliens coming in the Egyptian temples, and the Persian and Sumerian relics, and then even in the Hopi Indians and Japanese and Chinese place, right? That's 2 pieces of evidence. Then you have the oral tradition passed down. That's 3 pieces of evidence. 4, military-industrial complex, Area 51, or all different kind of things, but you don't know really what it is. 5th, in 2003, I was shown literally files of pictures of observatory of the guy who had $35 million given to him by the government. And he showed me spacecraft images, and he showed me what they look like inside. So according to all these teachings, they're demons. And they only had like 3 fingers, 4 fingers, or they weren't human-like for the most part. But some of them are digital in form, meaning they don't have a physical body. They're like a ghost or
like a hologram.
Yes. So when I did my lawsuit against Big Tech, I actually saw that coming to me, and it hit me. And I started bleeding to my nose for an entire month because they never come after people because they control them. And when they saw someone like me try to break this hive mind that liberals are like fighting the conservatives because it falls into control, I put that lawsuit. I gave up because the conservatives kept on censoring me and stealing from me. Every one of them, 99.9%. And the liberals just like, what is this? So until today, that's why I was like, I gave up. All my stuff got penetrated everywhere. Everyone wants to talk about it, all online, and they repackaged it. Yeah. So going back to this alien issue, you have the history of it, you have the written history of it, then you have the actual document. Then I put out AI, the plan to invade humanity, tweet to President Trump and the Pentagon. 3 days later, they say, yes, we do have off-world technology landed here. So that spawned something. It's a movie I put out. Everyone should watch. I have 270,000 views. I asked for a donation at the end. I got 100 people donating to me. So here's the issue that we had. That's socialism, right? People didn't want to help. So because everything I did was trying to, on the behalf of the world's people, to say, look, I found extinction codes that are showing hundreds of millions of people will die, then billions of people in stages by transhumanism, by famine, civil wars, conflicts, and disease, because it's a real bioweapon. In long term, it's made to kill people. You don't sense it. I'll explain it later. It can kill you in a year and kill you 5 years from now because it has HIV in it. It has animal particles and different things, and you cannot see it, sense it. It'll be the Congress person. He died that day, right? They say he had COVID for 2 days. No, he had it for a long time. It just wasn't registering his body. That's why. So getting back to the alien thing, when they come here like 100 years ago, they're in their spacecrafts and they use quantum technology. And you see it's like a primitive race of people because there's trillions of planets and trillions of universes. Mm-hmm. Who is to judge the God of the universe that he can't create any other life? Who the hell are you to judge God or the creator of all the trillions of dimensions of the universe? There is no other race of intelligent life than us, whether you're liberal or conservative. You just can't do that. So, of course you can. But in the book, it says we are made in the image of God, but we only use a little percent of brain power because we're here for faith alone and enlightenment to awaken. Mm-hmm. Because once you see everything, you lose your journey and free will to achieve awakening, enlightenment, or you can say salvation. So long story short, when you're shown everything or you download things to your brain like Elon Musk wants to do with Neuralace, you actually will become a program. Now come to these aliens. They come here and they see us. They're like, these bodies are awesome. They can use science and nanotechnology to be able to live forever. But they can't get into our bodies because they see we have a soul or a digital image, and they come and go in 2 days. It takes 100 years. All they do is put into motion a chain of reaction that creates technology, alters the destiny of this planet, and people. Then a few spacious planets, the military takes this stuff. They create smartphones and IoTs, And the internet comes out with DARPA, which comes from these reverse engineer of the stuff they had on the spacecrafts. Then our big tech guys start creating stuff, and they get like mental manipulation to create it. Because it's like some guys, even Jack Dorsey is like sitting around and this thought came to me, because people can get this frequency, that thought comes into you from a different dimension. You don't see it. So then all the stuff comes together. Then a bioweapon hits. I put out the theory called CV, the AI Global Master Plan. That was one theory I put out, and people wouldn't retweet or share it. Then I put out another one, AI: The Plan to Invade Humanity, the movie. The Patriots wouldn't share it. And then this book, people wouldn't buy it much, and they wouldn't share it. They would just steal information. And then I put out all of the stuff, the whole package, and I did it right before each event happened. Not after, before. Because once you do it after, you already lost. It's like someone will punch you, lights out, and then instead of you going like this and hitting it back, you're just going to be like, okay. And then you get hit and you get knocked out. So that's the issue. But who is manipulating everybody? When you have envy or lust or ego or pride or jealousy, and you're selfish, then you get really manipulated really well by these entities that don't see you. So what do they want? They want the human body because it's made in the image of God. These guys are like little gray aliens or other stuff, or they're ghosts, and they can't live forever. But they realize our bodies can become like God.
Yeah.
God.
We're a commodity because we can create. They can't create because they don't have feelings. At least most of them are. Because they've already done this. They've done the tech stuff, and they, did all these genetic things over and over and over again till there's nothing left, and now they're like, "Oops, we messed up," and trying to come back and refix it. But
yes. So I read some materials from. I read some materials back in the day, and I think it was because I researched a bunch of stuff. I think it was the Falun Dafa. Yeah, that gentleman wrote that they were here in the before the Earth blew up, in the past civilization, and then they came back here. Something of that, not exact words, but that they saw the universe was blown up at the Big Bang, but they escaped. And they came back here and they saw this. What they want to do is create another civilization behind that and put everyone in a hive mind, from my understanding of it, right? From reading that. And once everyone's put in a hive mind, then they can down themselves and get cloned. And you don't even know. You have clones and people get taken over. You don't procreate anything. But they never show themselves. Never, ever, ever show themselves. You see, so that's what people don't believe until it's too late. And you say, well, why don't they invade right now? Because they're in a different time and space. One day takes 100 years. So all they do is like you're sitting in a computer desk and you have a computer. It's a program. It goes from one stage to another stage, and you're watching the players in there. You hit one button, and you have algorithms, and you control everybody. It's the same concept. And the average person, because they walk outside, they see a sun and a tree and a car, and they see the people talking to them. It's hard for them to believe these things. It's like 20 years ago, I say you're going to have these smartphones and you can talk to each other, or you have a computer and you'll see each other. People said I was nuts. They didn't believe it. So do you only believe what you see? 200 years ago, you can get in a plane. They don't believe you. There's a helicopter. They don't believe you. Now we have aircraft like spaceships. So my point is, these UFOs want the human body. They want this planet. And they sent scouts. A few scouts came here. So your question gets back to these: are they clones? There are some people on the planet that walk around. They look human, but they're not. Some of them are in a government. Some of them are big tech, and some of them are actually just average Joes walking around, and some of them are military. These people are so smart. Well, they'll act dumb. They'll act normal. But they can manipulate presidents, countries, industrial complex in such a way that they'll see by doing this, it'll create 1,000 different steps and it'll move the entire society in a different way. And they'll do it in a 20-year process, 30-year process. You won't even know it. And there's a law in the universe. So we're like, oh, Jesus will save us, or Buddha will save us, or God will save you. No, he won't. Because if there's a certain standard in the universe, And why is there killing in this world? Why is there rape? Why is there stealing? Why is there all the stuff that's happened past 2,000 years? Why didn't God do anything about it? Because in every faith, it talks about you are fallen. So you have this bone and these muscles, and you have a soul inside of you. You're put here as a program to be able to get out of the program by light and awakening. And I can tell everyone whatever, anything. I can say even more high level things, but people won't accept it. They only accept what their brain chemistry has told them from reading, going to school, and seeing what's on TV, and what the people around them told them. It's kind of like if you go to a cattle and you try to make the cattle into a human. So if you say too much to humans at something that's at the level of angels or the Greek gods or aliens, whatever you want to say, they won't accept it. The liberals will say you're a lunatic and you have psychological issues, and the conservatives will only look at what's in their Bible or whatever it may be. So it's like, and if everyone uses 4 or 5% or 20%, then how could they grasp what their 100% brain can use? But everything I just said, Elon Musk and these big tech guys are saying the same thing in their language with artificial intelligence. So what I did in here was use half of their language, some of my language I created, by using companies and the geopolitics of it. So I explained, here's a tech, here's a geopolitics, here is the metaphysical, here's the spiritual, and then I coded aliens in the book. It's like 5 huge layers I put in there. And people are programmed not to have physical books anymore, because once you're addicted to reading something online on a smartphone, even what you get from it, it's going to be a lot less. Or if you watch a movie, no, it's different. The way your brain chemistry receives something is going to be a lot less. So if I read a book and I sit down and I really read it and try to understand it, versus I watch a movie or see a tweet, because we're designed in a different way, and it may take somebody 20 years. So look at a kid. It take 5 years, 6 years old, learns to speak and goes to kindergarten and so on, and then learns to write and read, and then it takes so many years to get the simple stuff. And then by 18 years old is driving a car, 16 years old, and then in the 20s is doing this, and then it marries somebody that was 35, 40 years old. It's like, why did I do that? Because that's not me. I'm me today. And then by their 60, 70 years old, they're like, well, what's the purpose of life? So it's like it takes them 70 years to get to that. But these guys, you just do a download and you get a text message or something, and then okay. And what it does is re-hardwire your brain. That's what Elon Musk wants to do. You have a neural lace, cut a piece open, you put it in a digital layer that exists. And I found a digital layer in here before I even read his stuff, because with what we do. So once he does that, he connects you to the 5G, 6G systems. Then your perceptions are altered. Whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever comes in social media will program you. Give you an example. If I went to my liberal friends, or family, not friends, well, actually even friends, a year and a half ago, I said, the world's in danger via China and big tech, and there's an invisible weapon coming, and the whole world's going to be enslaved. Oh, he's a Nazi. He's a racist. I'm like, what? Okay, but you don't understand. Let's say even somebody is a racist. Everyone's going to get enslaved, and it's going to, Cyrus, you're crazy. Even if it's true, he's a racist. They're all racist. It's all right wing. I'm like, oh, and they throw me out of the house, and they don't talk to me ever again. So 6 months goes by. I'm like, look, virus came out. All people are dying over there, and it's happening over here. They're getting enslaved. It'll be a civil war. It's about last year, right? And they won't talk to me still. He's a racist. So their brain chemistry, if you actually watch them, actually the neural networks of those type of liberals, it's designed in a certain way that whatever they're emotional to will supersede logic or the safety of the world's people. Then you have the conservatives. If somebody has a jealousy or their brain chemistry is just knotted to what they understand from their Bible or something else, you say something outside of, oh, Jesus will save me. But for 2,000 years, Jesus hasn't been saving anybody. They've been dying and suffering. It's because they don't understand their faith. That's the simple issue, because you're supposed to awaken to it, enlighten to it. The book is there's inner meanings to it, and there's a guy. It even says half is not told. So you have all these things. You have religions, you have tech, you have geopolitics. It's like the world is composed of the entire universe, and they're all fighting each other. And they have 7 billion people. And what's the result of that? Population decrease or a huge conflict. And so when you see these China's people, oh, they want to reduce our population, they want to kill us all, put in camps. It's not the big tech guys that want to do it. They're just mind controlled themselves because they're in a program, it's a simulation. As are the conservatives to go like this. The whole thing is like everyone's being programmed to fight each other. And I said it all comes from this alien agenda, but above the alien agenda is God.
Yes.
What people don't understand is they think Satan is against God, or demons. God created all these things. You think he can control demons or the negative forces? Why is there the sun goes up and the moon comes? All these different things because the universe has opposites. The universe has a duality of good and evil. It's created that way by God himself for the enlightened structure. So I'm saying a lot of things in your show, and maybe I don't know why I'm saying. I'm a little emotional, I would say, because of what's going on now. I'm like, the entire year and a half, I work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, and patriots keep on censoring me and stealing from me. So, and then that happened.
Well, I can already tell right now. I have about 15 questions that I've written down that we don't have time for this very second. But would you be able to do a part 2 sometime soon?
Sure. Questions. Let's go. You talk because I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry.
No. We only have a few minutes left for this portion, but I was hoping that we can maybe I'll get with you off camera about maybe doing a part 2 because, I think you just opened a whole can of worms for a lot of different people. One person is asking, where can we get our the movie from you? Where can obviously I'm going to put in the comments where they can get your book, but if you can send me your information on how to get the movie too, then I can post that. But people are asking, what can we do if we have the nano? What can we do now? What do we do now? What do you foresee coming up? I mean, there's a lot of things, but because of time's sake, I don't think we're going to be able to answer all of it, but yeah.
So let me explain something that people didn't tell you correctly. The virus is real. Oh, yeah. And it's been real since the first day. People just don't understand it. And the second mutation, like Bill Gates says, he actually could be right. Because the first mutation didn't mutate like it did in China. Right. So if it mutates, it'll take out a lot of people. But there's a way I know actually of a cure. I've known a cure from the first day, but nobody will give me listen to me, give me a platform to speak at that level. So I won't say anything until it comes up, until people are ready to listen. Just like all the stuff I've been saying, every single thing came true, and the people around Trump wouldn't let me meet with Trump. They just kept on using my information and messing up, and that was the issue. That's the issue. It's like if you have Mike Tyson or you have like a warrior that comes out of, I'm talking a lot myself, but it's a fact. If you have someone that's good at something and they put out the information, then you have that person lead that things. And then because he knows how to solve it. So that's been the number one issue. And what it is, it's not the people. They're actually being mind controlled. Because why would these elements that control the left and right, why would they want people to survive if their goal is to take out everybody? And then you have God on top. And he says, well, look how human beings are treating each other. Because there's rape and there's killing here, it's the law of the universe. Because that's what happens. So my advice is don't have fear. Okay, don't fear nothing. The worst thing you can ever do is think of anything like suicide or stuff like that. Worst thing, because your digital image, your spirit just comes out and it's 10 times worse. Yeah, it's worse, 100 times worse than anything here. So please don't ever do any kind of stuff like that. It's not as bad as you think it is. What I wrote in the book shows you stages. It can be turned around, but something big is going to happen this year. Something very, very big. So in terms of the disease, I don't wear a mask myself unless somebody asks me. It feels uncomfortable. It's close, right? Because I'm not going to get the virus, but someone else may feel uncomfortable, right? So it's my thought. So if I have to wear a mask somewhere, I'll wear a mask to protect them, whether it's emotional, psychological, whatever it is. But when you push it too much, then this AI system comes in, and even the liberal big tech people get enslaved themselves. So, is there a way to get nanotech out of you? Yes, there is. I know how that can be done, and that's not a discussion.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have you on for another, like, I don't even, we could tape it tonight or tomorrow or whenever, as soon as you can. But yes,
what I'm going to do is because I don't want things. What I'm going to do is, I haven't put out free information and stuff that goes everywhere, but then people just take stuff from it and don't quote me, and it gives it to people that just, if you didn't enlighten to it yourself before it happened, that means you didn't have the skills. And I'm the only person on the planet who published it, everything, and I came completely true. So if I was just given the platform to speak, because I'm not against the liberals or conservatives, I could solve a lot of issues for the world's people. I really could. And I would still want to, but it's almost too late, because you have so many people that don't believe in things in some way versus the other way. So how is it good? Follow me on Twitter, on Parler, and on Instagram, Cyrus A Parsa 1. I doubt anyone's going to get the book. I mean, but if you want to get it, get it here. It's on Amazon, the physical copy, not the other one, because it's already inside of it. You want to watch AI: The Plan to Invade Humanity? It's free. I'm going to have maybe a platform on Vimeo soon, and I'll put out stuff there. Yeah. And I'm going to make videos to explain how these things work. But I think I talked most in your show that I did, and I did the most criticizing I ever did of anybody. But if I don't keep on saying it, because this is the issue, that's the cause of the issue. There's problems on the conservative side. I just showed you that, right? 1 million followers he's got, and he's just one of them. So he could have helped for the past year and a half to let me talk about China. And even Blaze, I warned about everything for an entire year. We sent stuff to them, and then they wait, and then they're like, we're bringing in this news that no one's ever heard. And I sent that news for an entire year, and then they get donations, subscriptions. Other conservative people are sitting there and saying, yeah, liberals are bad, and China CCP is bad, and that's communism, and we do truth. And they were stealing from me behind the scenes for an entire year. And then they'll sit there and they get subscriptions and donations from you. And everyone's giving millions of views. Oh, yeah, the Truth People, Truth Network. So if I told you it was all of them, you wouldn't believe me, but it was all of them. So it's not just the mainstream, it's even the lower podcasters that are saying deep state. They're doing some stuff, because where this deep state comes from, it comes from people. The deep state is not just them. The deep state is everybody. That's the issue. People steal, cheat, lie, and betray each other. It's the Game of Thrones. It's been it's the first day. All these people, almost all of them, the big Twitter accounts, the deep state, big state, they're all liars and thieves. I watched it for an entire year, and there were censoring behind the scenes. And it's all of them. So it's not just the damn liberals, it's the damn conservatives.
Yeah, it's both. It's both. I agree.
Swear to God, all liars.
And two things I can relate to, not to your level at all, but even when I had the dream about the Cyrus part with 45, I actually had somebody else go on the internet, and after I called and told them what happened, because I just wanted someone to talk to about it, they actually went on live and on the internet and then did like a blog of the dream, as if they had the dream and as if it happened to them. And I was just like, you're kidding me. And they ended up getting to have a meeting with Trump, which in the end, they did reach out to me to see if I could go meet in Florida with Trump. And I was in New Zealand at the time, so I didn't get to go talk to him. But they asked me, can you please write up everything, that you foresaw, that you see and where this is
I
going.
saw President Trump becoming president in 2002.
Yeah.
What happens and how they get taxed and becomes a digital war, then almost civil war. What happens with Iran afterwards, and something happens afterwards. Then I saw more of it, and then I investigated his company. So what I did was use the techniques I learned in China and the visions that I had as a little kid with my geopolitical, Homeland Security background and my tech background, put it all together. So it's like the best of all worlds. I put down my family, my friends. I work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. I worked 7 days straight without even sleep.
Wow.
Even when I'm eating, I was working on one hand.
Well, I think it sucks that people steal and they lie or discredit. And I also can relate a little bit, again, not to your level, but when we first came out and we were talking about the V and all the mask stuff and everything else, and just trying to tell people how to support their bodies and do, I was censored. They took me off, Facebook. They took down my website a few times.
Do you know what? The right thing with his mask thing, it's this, because if he would have caved in right at the beginning, then it would have become huge tyranny. So if he would have brought panic and fear to everybody, then the whole world would have been in fear. The fact that he wasn't fearful. You think so? Joe Biden didn't want to lock down the country. He wanted to wait a few more months. President Trump saved a lot of lives, quite a bit, by locking the country down earlier and closing all those businesses down really in China. Because Joe Biden, even if he was in that position and he would try to lock down the country early, which he wouldn't have been able to do because of all the connection with China. In fact, President Trump saved a lot of lives because he decoupled from China a great deal before the virus hit. Then my lawsuit comes out, it penetrates people's subconscious and it reached to hundreds of millions of people, but people wouldn't retweet. People are asking me on my Twitter, what's going on with your lawsuits? Well, $3,000 were donated for 6 months, and the Patriots, the humanities, they could have retweeted my lawsuit so they did at the beginning, but when they found out it was me, and all the bigger ones, Jew, Shill, Matrix, the lockdown's a joke. It won't be a lockdown. World's not going to be enslaved. All this stuff is happening. They're in front of me. And then later, when I put out the Joe Biden, the Joe Obama one, I asked them, would you retweet this? And would you, all major ones, would you retweet this? The world's in danger. They wouldn't retweet. They're getting stuff, retweeting popcorn. They're getting 100,000 retweets. They would never retweet. Not once. And they got orders. They got orders not to retweet me, to disclose the 5G stuff, the vaccines, the AI, all stuff. They got orders not to do that for an entire year. Swear to you. This is what, do you ever wonder why I didn't do that? And then they wait until later, and then they use my stuff to, when the lockdown happened, then they use my lawsuit and stuff to attack everyone in the lawsuit. George Soros, Bill Gates, and all these kind of things. So I put it out before, right? And it took it away from me. Then the Great Reset comes out. They start talking about the Great Reset. I've been saying it for an entire year. They're trying to steal it from me. And then they got hundreds of thousands of views. President Trump put out a video. Most of the people on that video had stolen from me and censored me. He didn't even know. Every single one, that one that he got 10, 20 million views, they're trying to do a Great Reset, but then we're doing another enlightenment. Almost everyone in that video had manipulated and stole or censored from me. Almost every person, and even the creators behind them did psyops for an entire year to make sure I don't get the platform, and they can repackage it, and they got donations with it. So that's how messed up it is. So when I said when God sees this, why would he bless conservatives? So this, I'm dropping out truth. This is, if you want to hear the real truth, this is the truth. And so
so I hope that you guys who are watching will go follow him on Twitter, will retweet, will share this video, will get the truth out, whatever way that you know how to tag, share, be the digital warrior of truth that we can be. And, and pray for this guy. I know, like you said, some of the programs, there's no amount of truth that will wake up certain people. Believe me, whenever we were saying what we were saying and explaining everything what we're saying, and then they not only censor, but then now stuff is happening and it's true. I get it. Like, people have thought it was weird too, and they're like, oh, and they don't come back around and believe even the next thing, even though the last 10 things that you said were right. So,
but Dr. Sharnael, here's the issue. I didn't come out with all this crazy stuff at the beginning. I came out with simple stuff. Hey, the geopolitics and China tech, we look at this. Then when I start stealing everything, then I go on the next level, try to get another people. Then it doesn't work. Then I go on the next level. Then it's like, okay, now I go to alien UFO people. Let me tell them. So I penetrated every level, and there are only a few people who didn't steal. X22, Dave, he had me on. Quite frankly, he had me on afterwards. Same with Dave, and then Red Pill 78. He didn't steal. And he had me on just to help. So, and these are QAnon people, in fact, right? So I don't have anything against Q or the movement, but I'm telling you, all the major ones were doing bad things. So, and then when I complained to one of them, they blocked me right away. The people who gave General Flynn the Great Reset, I took those people the information. They stole it from me, and I went to a bunch of them, and then they sent it to a Catholic guy, and then General Flynn retweeted it, and it went to everywhere. So, and they saw my lawsuit in my book. But what is that? That you're stealing and plagiarizing and censoring.
Yep, it sucks.
And they blocked me. They literally blocked me on Twitter. And they're putting out Bible thoughts, Lord, Jesus, and then what they're stealing, and almost all of them. It's the truth.
Yeah,
and I evidence. I never put it out because I never wanted to hurt the movement. But I'm just like, why are people complaining about censorship, and they're saying this is a place of God and country, stealing so much and lying and censoring, and it's all ones in power. Because what does your Bible say about power corrupts? People who have faith, people in power, they get intoxicated. It's like the Lord of the Rings, the one who gets the ring, anyone who gets a platform, and they suppress the other ones. So it wasn't just the liberals, it was the conservatives. It's anybody who was in the position of power, whether it was MSN or a big Twitter or YouTube account. So I had a few guys I thanked. They were really good. And also Laura Eisenhower.
Yeah, Laura's a good friend.
Good. And then the other one, David Rodriguez.
They're both really good friends.
They had friends who stole from me. And they go to want to put Cyrus on, but there was given an order. So it's like, what can people do when almost everyone that's connected, they're because how do people get in positions of power? They read other people's stuff and they social engineer you and put out the same stuff in a different way, and then they get followers and they write books, and then they make videos and they put tweets and they get powerful. But it's socialism because there's a few things you have to do. You have to have the experience, the work, and the education background. You have to put in the work. If you don't, then you're a socialist. You're just putting out stuff. All 7 billion people can go read something and say the same stuff. And who's going to be the one that they can trust to give them accurate information that can alter the tide and not be against the liberals and conservatives? I'm not the only one that can do this, but here's the issue. People who are corrupt usually get in a position of power. Or they're not corrupt, but they get corrupted. Since the beginning of time, the human race has been like this. It is truly Game of Thrones. I did watch those episodes, a bunch of them. It's just like that. They just tell you. I couldn't believe it. They were getting tens of millions of views and saying, "Oh, these are evil," and they censor and they're CCP, and they do the same stuff that the CCP is worse, and they use God behind it. It wasn't just Christians; it was Buddhist practitioners too. So it's like there's nothing wrong with their faith. It's something wrong with the people.
The hearts of the people.
Remember this, people, every time I bring up this stuff, people will say negative things. Why you're complaining? You don't understand. Why do the left steal all the stuff? And you complain about stealing? Because when you steal and you censor, this happens. I was stolen from and censored for an entire year and we had all this information. And what happened to the election? You're stolen from your censor. How does that make you feel? Well, what happened? It's almost like karma or retribution in a sense. I'm not gloating because I supported President Trump even until now. I support President Trump because my algorithms show that more people will be alive on the planet if he's on power. Not just the conservative side, but on the liberal side. It shows that the world people will be more safe because China threatens all the world's citizens and they will enslave people with big tech, as I put in here in this book. And so I hope this really sticks in people's heads, what I just said. don't be controlled by a symbol or by someone that says they're in your faith. Go by principled ethics, and it's proven you're not doing these things. And don't be controlled by race or gender. It's the ethics that's important. It's the morality. And your eyes, your ears trick you because you emotionally get bonded with a family member or friend or someone that looks similar or has something that you like. Once you do that, you get trapped by that information. If you can come outside of that and not have emotion, that's the last thing I want to say. These aliens don't have emotion. That's why they can manipulate everybody, because they have emotion. These emotions are what creates thoughts and our actions. So if you can put down all emotions in place of wisdom and benevolence, you cannot be manipulated. Never be manipulated.
You can keep, and I encourage everybody, if you've went through any of this, we got to get to a place where we don't let it touch us, and we just keep our vibrations high. We forgive, we move on, we keep focusing on the things that we can focus on. We don't change our integrity because of other people. If you keep doing the truth, and loving and doing well, eventually karma does catch up. And so, it is frustrating. And when people don't listen, or they censor, or they do all the things that have been happening, then, there isn't a lot of things that we can do besides just own up and say the truth and keep on focusing on what we can do and what we can be responsible for. So I hope that all of you guys will not only follow him on Twitter and go to his website, get his books, be informed, research, have an open mind, and also have the courage to step outside of whatever current belief system that you may be in and go, you know what, there could be a bigger picture here. Maybe this is something that I should look into. Even if you don't really understand it or really think that it's true, it's opening the door to the beginning of like actually having at least an opportunity to go beyond where we are. And that's why I like to have a lot of different people on my show that have different complete beliefs, because how cool is it if two people that don't even really have anything in common can actually still sit down and have like care and compassion and love for each other, and be willing to sit and listen to different views, even if we don't necessarily agree. And not that I don't agree with you, because we apparently agree on a lot of things, which is why I need to have you back. I hope we can have you back, because I do have like literally tons of more questions here.
I apologize if I talk too much.
No, I was like, oh my gosh, like a baby bird, like listening to everything that you had to say. And it looks like a lot of other people have several questions too. So you guys definitely follow him and get his book. Definitely.
Parlor too as well, and Instagram the same thing, and the AIorganization.com, .com, and I just would like this book to be gotten by a lot of people and cite it, because what it does is build credibility. Everyone says, why are you talking about his book all the time? They don't get it, because if you said it before it happened and it's written and documented, you're like, well, yeah, that is true. It's happening right now. Then you have more credibility to have a movement and say, look, A, B, and C. It says it right there. And he did give a Secret Service report. He put out a lawsuit, all these tweets, all these articles in time. And yeah, so when you give these people, there's a lady, I don't know who she was, some lady in her 60s. She didn't have information over a year ago. And a lot of my information came to her in different ways. And then the same patriots who watched me for an entire year, and I begged them to, before it happened, would you put out the stuff about AI, 5G, vaccines, and all kinds? They wouldn't do it. She sits out an interview, and they get 2.5 million views. And then she says the virus is fake. And then they take her down from YouTube. So it's like, and then there's another one too, talking about AI. They wouldn't retweet me, and I even asked them, they blocked me. There's another blonde lady. What she did was go read the stuff from their website. I did it from investigating their actual physical technology and their documents, other stuff that you can't even get access to. And I have the skill, 20 years. So when you if someone just wears a symbol and they have a Christ symbol on them, or they have a QAnon, and you give that person power, and they don't have the intelligence to do it before it happened, and you sidestep someone who put all the work into it, then you get cursed. Because how can you judge anyone is a Christian or whatever they are or not? Only God judges who is a follower. Oh, I repented, or no, you don't know. I don't even know. How can you say who's good or not? I'm not saying I'm good. What I'm trying to say is, when you steal and censor, and then the liberals do the same thing. They'll put the information, they'll give it to somebody that's based off of gender or race, and then the Christian will give somebody who looks at someone like this or that, and neither one had the skill to do it, right? Maybe if I had a big Iranian following, they want to put me up, but I don't, because I don't talk with Iranians, and I see myself as an American, human first, American second. I really don't see myself as an Iranian. I'm an American. I grew up here. I love football and basketball and tennis and martial arts, and this is my last plea. I would like a big platform so I can fight for the American people and the world's people. Someone's listening, help me get a big platform. That's what I need, so I can talk and strategically help both sides. That's what I like. And if not, then find someone who's smarter than me. And I haven't seen one yet. Sorry to say. I dare you to find one person on the planet that put out the information that I did. Alex Jones was stealing from me. David Icke was stealing from me. Big Q account followers and liberals behind the scenes, and the people in the military, CIA, FBI, and other people. They were taking my stuff. Even the CIA was watching my stuff, and then I put out a big tweet, and then 2 weeks later, they'll put, yeah, it's about the same stuff. Everybody was watching what I put up, because when you do a lawsuit against Obama, Biden, Clinton, and all the world's big tech companies, they're going to watch you. Like, what the hell are you doing? And then when they saw I got everything right in stages, they're like, okay, what the hell does he know? Well, because I have a machine. It's like a machine that uses 80% of the brain power. I have like a system that I put together. That means that machine of mine can outdo all 7 billion people on the planet, because everyone vibrates at 5 or 10%.
Right.
So, and you say that's crazy. Well, prove me wrong. How did I get anything wrong on the big picture and the micro the past year? Did I? How was I ahead of all?
No, you've been right, and I thank you that you gave us even this time today to invest in all of us and our journey. You know, being able to share with your intelligence and your heart, and just who you are. We appreciate you so much, and I will definitely be in touch to figure out how we can get you back and go through.
I'm emotional. I'm just pissed because I'm seeing what's happening in the country. I'm like, you guys could have just gave me the platform, and I just showed you that guy, right? He's famous, million followers on Twitter, and he has access to Fox News, everything. And what's he call me? He calls me a lunatic because everything I write and I say they've been stealing. You're a lunatic too. He called all the Q people, all the major Christians and conservatives, a lunatic, and you're a lunatic too. That's what you said. So and blocked me. And then he's like, "Oh, big tech are censoring. They're deleting us." Wow, he's censoring and blocking, and then allowing other people to steal. So that's my evidence for one, right? How many of them happen like that? The numbers. So it's like the last chaos. So I don't care if I'm intelligent or not. I can't even change my freaking tire. I had to look up a YouTube video. So some things I'm really, really good at. Some things I suck at. If you asked me to put in your floors in your house, like Jesus the Carpenter, I couldn't do that. I had to freaking look at YouTube videos. If you asked me to put some stuff together physically, I couldn't. I'm really good at the stuff that I put out. Yes, the metaphysical tech stuff and geopolitics, and looking at how the whole world looks, computing things in a second that would take people thousands of years to do. That's what I'm good at. But with stuff like that, I can't do it. Like I have to really tap into other stuff to do it. So who cares if I'm smart? All I want to do is get a platform to save your lives and save the country. That's all I want to do. That's it. So sorry if I'm being egotistical. I have a lot of drive. So I get pissed when I see this happen to the country and a damn patriot. We are in control. Bullshit, you're in control. What are you in control of? So maybe they will be. Last 10 days, you never know. Maybe the Insurrection War Powers Act, Insurrection Act will be dropped, and then Biden won't come in because they'll show all the crimes that's been done, and President Trump will take over. That's possible. I don't know, because that's within the law, right? That's not a physical thing. It's actually a legal thing. I'm not sure if that's not going to happen, but That's been talked about for an
That
entire
would be awesome if that's what we're all hoping, that there has to be some sort of, trump card in the end here.
But here's the issue, what I want you to take away with, it's the people that are around him, and I did a tweet 6 months ago, that have always been against him because they always wanted power. Even, I offered up to General Flynn and all Sidney Powell that I can do the lawsuit because my lawsuit stuck. They did 60 lawsuits, right? Not only one stuck. If they would have had me do it, because I know how to do it better, I'm not even a lawyer, it would have had standing, it would have won. But they want the power. That's the issue. I even did a video to Lynn. They saw it. I could have had the legal standing because I saw what they were missing in the lawsuit. So simple. I'm not a lawyer. I did one lawsuit, 2 lawsuits, and I did it, the second one was myself. I went to a law library for 2 days, and it's 87 pages, and it was against all the big tech companies combined.
It's very thorough,
and it all had standing for 8 months, and I didn't want to hurt them at the end because I'm like, damn, conservatives are even worse. Why are they worse? Because they use God's name to steal, cheat, plagiarize, and censor. The liberals are just atheists for the most part. So this makes the conservatives the real communists, because only a true communist will steal, cheat, plagiarize, and lie by having a platform that's supposed to be God and country.
Yes.
That's a communist. These guys are just lost on the left. So that's what people don't get. What is a communist? Is someone who's an atheist. Who steals and cheats and lies? An atheist would. A communist. And who is that? It's the conservatives saying they follow Jesus or Buddha or whatever because they're doing the same thing. Because if you believe that stuff, you believe God is watching you, you would never tell a lie, you wouldn't steal and cheat and plagiarize and censor, because that's against God. That's communism. And every single conservative that's in power did that. Not just to me, but they do that. They use psychological warfare on their own followers to get donations. So from now on, I'm going to ask for donations. Because I really haven't been much. I only got like 20,000 donations in the course of a full year because I felt like I just should do it selflessly. And I see them using my stuff and they're getting millions donated. How much money did Alex Jones make from me? From looking at my big picture. He read my book, read my lawsuit. He was even put on Intel every day. I put it on Twitter. 3 hours later, he put the same stuff. He's watching my stuff. He even had reporters that were talking to me and they retweet my stuff. That was a good one, Cyrus. I'll see Alex Jones say, oh, yeah, my intel came to me, Obama this, Obama that. I'm like, no, bastard, that's in the Q community. Same thing. I see other conservatives, others at Truth and Tradition. I'm like, they're stealing it too. So I'm like, and I'm okay with Alex Jones. He had me on at least for five times. So that's okay. But if you think about it, how do radio people get power? How do the podcasters get power?
Content. Yep.
Content, but what they do is get on each other's shows. You're either a journalist or there's no such thing as a content creator. You don't create content. You take content. That's what I do, because content has to come from your own investigation, not sitting at a computer desk. And what they do, here's what podcasters do. You see them going back at each other's shows all the time. It's like, wait a second, then where are the experts? You have the one journalist seeing another journalist on a show. They go back and forth, and they create team members. Not just on the liberal side, but on the conservative side. So you hear the same narrative, and they always get things wrong. If you get things wrong 5 times, 10 times, you should be done. But they get things 4 times, and they still have the power. And same with the big Twitter guys. They do the same thing. So it's like, you know why? Because that's communism. It's not a system of checks and balances, because the journalists are communists too on the conservative side and show other shows, and they use their own people. So they'll fool people. They'll have, oh, we have this expert on today, but it's their friend, or it's just somebody with their network or within another news network that they talk with. So what does that tell you? That our communism is not just on the liberal side; it's the conservative side. I have another book called "Raped via Digital Social Programming." It has a blonde girl's image on it. How it shows how every woman in America has been raped. I never retweeted it out because people one time, but I didn't want to scare the conservatives who maybe have hurt women in the past, or liberals, right? But it shows how this country has been a socialist, communist country since the 1950s culturally. President Trump said that this will never be a socialist country. I disagree with him. It's been a half socialist country since the 1950s. In an economic sense, because the bankers took over, right. And I completely disagree with him into culture. This country has been a socialist country since the
Corporation.
1950s
Yeah.
because Hollywood and our education system was penetrated by these Russians who were communists.
Yeah.
So the people today, that's the last thing I'm going to say, the people today, all the conservatives, if the people in the 40s who were conservatives saw them today, they would consider them all communists and demons. Socialists and demons. And then the conservatives today are saying the liberals are demons. So it's like that means how far liberals have gone. They want to promote having sex with little kids. They want to say, oh, 5-year-old can be this or that. It's like the pendulum have shifted so much.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the movie Gone with the Wind. Watch the movie Cinderella. How the conservatives and liberals were in the 1940s and 30s, 1920s. The human conduct of not cursing, dressing nice was not just on the outside. It was in the inside. The people would never break their word. So in ancient times, if you said something and you broke your word,
that was bad.
That was only bad. That means you're against God. That means you're a communist. Like off with his head. So nowadays, people lie like it's tomorrow. That means everybody's a communist. So the conservatives like those guys are communists. No, everybody's a freaking communist because people have been mind warped since the 1950s on. All the programming from Hollywood has seeped into them.
Yep.
And this has been probably the most negative thing you've ever gotten in your entire life from one show of just being boom, 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 boom. But if you take in what I said, really take it in, and because we're where we are today because of these issues.
Yes.
We can make that better.
We can change it
Ourselves, then we can make a better world. That's the issue. So follow me if you like, because I'll put out a tweet and I'll have 70,000 followers, and I'll see 10,000 people saw it and 500 people retweet when it's like, hey, this will save the world. There isn't much of that going on anymore because Twitter is different now, and then we're in a different situation. So follow me on Twitter, Parler, on Instagram, and then I'll have other stuff. And thank you for having me on your show. And last thing I'm going to say, I apologize for criticizing every single listener on here because everyone's conservative. I put it out, not just on liberals. I sued all of them, right? But then I said, hey, conservatives have the same issue in different ways.
Yes,
so,
well, it's both. I understand that. And I do thank you. And for everybody who's watching, like I said, go get his book, get more informed, go on the inside, try to stay above the snake line of all of this like mess that's in social media and the world and the news, and get outside, get in nature, go try to connect with the earth and good food and sunshine, and take a break, breathe, do some things for yourself right now, just to hear what God is saying to you, internalize, like not anything external. I appreciate having people like this on to give us a little bit, but take these kind of things and then go process and sort and integrate, and then see where it fits in with what God is showing you. And, that's where we get that connection to source with having dreams and our own thing. Because if you get something on for you that you wouldn't have got any other way, like whenever I got that stuff from Trump about Trump years ago, when it came true, it gave me confidence to understand, like, okay, maybe other things will come and I need to pay attention to that. And, it takes practice over years. It's been years of training and practicing. And also, please do go to swiftfire.org, and get a newsletter because of all these people that have been deplatformed and what have you. I want to make sure that I can connect with you guys on that. We stay connected for any future people we have on or things that are going on. I'd like to be able to make sure that we are connected in one way or another. I did move to Parler and did the same thing that he was talking about, of just making sure we're on all the different platforms in case one goes down or one's blocked or something's censored. But I do have a free blog that you guys can stay on and get on and make sure that we're connected with that way. I will give you guys more updates on when I'm having Cyrus back, because I'm just going to push for it, and any other future guests that we have as well. And I hope that you guys will share, tag, join all of our social media platforms, and that you will get this word out, because what he said today is very important for all of us to be able to know how to even integrate through what's going on or where we are and what to do now. Like, what can we do now? And so appreciate you again, Cyrus. And I look forward to our next meeting together. I love all of you for taking time to hear this and to invest in yourself to be able to hear this and to be the leaders and shine and love where you are with who you are. And, I just appreciate all of you. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you, Cyrus.
Thank you.